I'm Maya Rodriguez, and I need to tell you about the night that changed everything. The night I realized I wasn't just underestimated, I was invisible. It was a Tuesday evening, 15 years ago. I was 25, working the night shift at County General as a registered nurse. My feet ached, my scrubs smelled like hospital disinfectant, and I was counting down the hours until I could go home to my tiny one-bedroom apartment in Northeast Portland, home to my husband, Keith. Except that night, I left work early. A coworker covered my last 2 hours because I'd been pulling doubles all week. I remember feeling grateful, almost giddy as I drove through the empty streets at 11 p.m. instead of 7 a.m. I'd surprise Keith. Maybe we'd actually talk, really talk, for the first time in weeks. The apartment was dark when I walked in. I heard the TV playing softly in the living room. I smiled, thinking Keith had fallen asleep watching SportsCenter again. I kicked off my shoes, padded quietly down the hallway, ready to wake him with a kiss. But Keith wasn't alone. My younger sister Sharon was there, on our couch, in Keith's arms. Her manicured hand, the one I could never afford to get done because I was too busy paying our rent, was tangled in his hair. His lips were on her neck. I stood there, frozen. My purse slipped from my shoulder and hit the floor with a dull thud. They jumped apart. But Sharon? Sharon didn't even look embarrassed. She looked annoyed, like I'd interrupted something inconvenient. "Oh, please, Maya," she said, standing up and smoothing her designer dress, the one I'd loaned her money to buy 2 months ago, money she never paid back. "You're too boring for him anyway. I'm doing you a favor." Keith at least had the decency to look uncomfortable, but he didn't deny it, didn't apologize. He just stood there, adjusting his shirt, avoiding my eyes. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out, just this choking sound like I was drowning on dry land. Sharon grabbed her purse. "We'll talk later, babe," she said to Keith, my husband. Then she brushed past me, her perfume. Expensive, nothing like the drugstore body spray I used, lingering in the air like poison. The door clicked shut behind her. Keith finally looked at me. "Maya, I can explain." "How long?" My voice came out strangled. "It's not what you think." "How long?" He sighed, ran his hands through his hair. 3 months, maybe 4. "Look, you're never home, you're always tired, you don't. Sharon just gets me, okay? She's fun, she's spontaneous, she's my sister." "Yeah, well," he shrugged, actually shrugged. "Maybe if you'd paid more attention to your marriage instead of your career, this wouldn't have happened. I want to tell you I screamed, threw things, demanded he leave, but I didn't. I just stood there, my nursing shoes leaving small puddles of rainwater on our cheap laminate floor, and felt myself crumble from the inside out. That's the thing about being the responsible one your whole life. You learn to absorb pain quietly, to not make scenes, to be reasonable even when the world is ending. Before I tell you what happened next, before I tell you how my sister's betrayal became something so much worse, let me back up. Because this story doesn't start with Keith and Sharon on my couch. It starts much earlier. It starts with 2 sisters and a family that decided, a long time ago, which one of us mattered. Growing up, Sharon was the golden child. I mean that literally. Golden blonde hair, blue eyes, the kind of pretty that made adults coo and pinch her cheeks. I was 2 years older, darker-haired, quieter. The responsible one, the good student. The one who helped Mom with groceries and remembered to take out the trash. When Sharon forgot her homework, it was cute. When I forgot mine, I was being careless. When Sharon wanted something, dance classes, new clothes, a car for her 16th birthday, our parents found the money. When I asked for help with college tuition, Dad sat me down and explained the value of financial responsibility and student loans. I graduated with my nursing degree at 22. $30,000 in debt. Sharon dropped out of community college after 1 semester to pursue modeling. No one questioned it. She was following her dreams, being authentic, finding herself. I was just jealous. At least, that's what Mom said when I pointed out the double standard. Our parents died when I was 23. Car accident on Highway 26 during a winter storm. Sudden, brutal, final. I planned the funeral. Contacted relatives, sorted through paperwork, paid for the service with my savings because Sharon was too devastated to think about money. She showed up in head-to-toe black designer clothes. I never asked where she got them, and cried beautifully for the cameras. Everyone said how strong she was, grieving so openly. No one noticed I hadn't cried at all. I didn't have time. After the funeral, Sharon moved in with me and Keith for just a few weeks, while she got back on her feet. Those few weeks turned into 3 months, then 6. She'd eat our food, borrow my clothes, leave dishes in the sink, and disappear for days at a time on modeling gigs that never seemed to pay. Keith loved it. Loved her. "Your sister's so fun," he'd say. "Why can't you be more like her? Lighten up a little?" I worked 50-hour weeks at the hospital, came home exhausted, made dinner, did laundry, paid bills. Keith worked in sales. Good money, but irregular hours. He'd get home before me, crack a beer, complain about his boss. I'd listen, nod, ask questions, be supportive. But I was boring, too serious, no fun. Looking back now, I can see the signs. The way he'd laugh too loud at Sharon's jokes, the way he'd watch her walk across the room, the way he'd compare us constantly. Sharon knows how to enjoy life. Sharon doesn't worry so much. Sharon. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure. Sharon was my sister. Keith was my husband. They wouldn't, except they did. That night, the night I caught them, I slept in my car. A 2004 Honda Civic with a broken heater and a passenger seat that didn't recline. I couldn't go back inside. Couldn't face them. So I sat in the hospital parking lot until my shift started at 6 a.m., then went inside and worked a full 12 hours on zero sleep. No one noticed. That's the thing about being a nurse. Everyone expects you to be tired, to be running on empty, to give everything and ask for nothing in return. Keith texted me around noon. "We need to talk." I didn't respond. Sharon called at 3 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was brief. "Stop being dramatic. Call me back." I worked 3 more shifts without going home. Showered in the hospital locker room, slept in my car, ate vending machine food. On the 4th day, I finally went back to the apartment. Keith was gone. So were half his clothes. There was a note on the kitchen counter. "Maya, I'm staying at Sharon's new place. We need space to figure things out. You deserve better than someone who doesn't love you the way you need. I'm sorry." He was sorry. How generous. I sat on the couch, the same couch where I'd found them, and waited to cry. But the tears didn't come. Instead, I felt this weird, hollow calm, like I'd been waiting for this moment my whole life, waiting to be confirmed as not enough, not pretty enough, not fun enough, not worthy of being chosen. The divorce was quick. No fault, no kids, minimal assets to split. Keith didn't fight me on anything. I think he felt guilty, or maybe he just wanted it over fast so he could move on with Sharon without the mess of a contested divorce hanging over them. Our mutual friends took sides. Most sided with Keith and Sharon. The narrative they spun was simple. Maya was bitter, cold, a workaholic who neglected her marriage. Keith and Sharon fell in love. These things happen. It was tragic, sure, but also kind of romantic. Star-crossed lovers couldn't help themselves. No one asked for my side of the story. 2 months after I caught them together, Sharon and Keith got married. Small ceremony, immediate family only. Sharon sent me an invitation with a handwritten note. "I know this is awkward, but I'd really love for you to be there. It would mean so much to show there's no hard feelings." I didn't respond. I didn't go. Our extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, called me petty, bitter, unable to let go and move on. "They're happy," Aunt Linda said. "You should be happy for them. Family is family." I stopped answering calls, stopped showing up to family events, let them think whatever they wanted. I was too tired to fight, too tired to defend myself, too tired to explain that no, I wasn't bitter. I was gutted. Betrayed by the 2 people who were supposed to love me most. I threw myself into work, picked up extra shifts, enrolled in a master's program for advanced nursing practice. If I was going to be alone, I might as well be successful and alone. 6 months passed, then 8. I stopped thinking about Keith every day, Started thinking about him every other day, then once a week. The wound scabbed over, started to scar. I was healing, moving forward, building something new. And then Sharon called. It was 2 a.m. on a random Wednesday. I was in the middle of a shift, restocking medication in the pediatric wing, when my phone vibrated. Sharon's name flashed across the screen. I almost didn't answer, but something, instinct maybe, or just morbid curiosity, made me pick up. Maya. Her voice was wrecked, crying, panicked. Maya, I need you. My stomach dropped. What happened? Are you hurt? It's not me. God, I don't know how to say this. It's my baby, Ethan. The doctors say he has a congenital heart defect. He might not. I can't do this. I'm not ready. I'm not. Where's Keith? Silence. Then, he said he didn't sign up for a sick kid. He wants me to put Ethan up for adoption, but I can't deal with the paperwork or the social workers or any of it. I just can't. Maya, please, can you take him? Just for a few weeks until we figure things out? My brain stuttered. Take him. Sharon, I can't just take a baby. You're a nurse. You know about this stuff. You're good at taking care of people. It's what you do. Her voice turned sharp, desperate. Please, Maya, he's 6 months old. He's sick. I don't know what else to do. I should have said no. Should have told her this wasn't my problem, that she and Keith made this mess and needed to handle it themselves. But I heard myself saying, "Where are you?" She gave me the address of a hospital in Vancouver, Washington, 30 minutes from Portland. I told my supervisor I had a family emergency and left mid-shift, something I'd never done in my entire career. I found Sharon in a waiting room, mascara smeared down her face, looking small and scared in a way I'd never seen before. For half a second, I felt sorry for her. She was still my little sister, still the girl I'd protected from bullies in elementary school. Then I saw Keith, sitting 3 chairs away, scrolling through his phone, completely detached. He looked up when I approached. Hey, Maya, thanks for coming. Like I was doing them a favor, like this was normal. A nurse brought the baby out, Ethan. Tiny, so tiny. Hooked up to monitors, his little chest rising and falling in quick, shallow breaths. He had Sharon's blonde hair and these huge, solemn eyes that seemed to look right through me. The doctor explained the situation. Ethan had a severe congenital heart defect. He'd need surgery, multiple surgeries, round-the-clock care, medications, monitoring, physical therapy as he grew. It was manageable, the doctor said, but it required commitment, time, resources, expertise. Sharon signed temporary guardianship papers. Her hands shook. Keith didn't even come into the room. Just a few weeks, Sharon whispered as she handed me a diaper bag with maybe 3 diapers inside. Just until we figure things out. That was 15 years ago. They never came back. Well, that's not entirely true. They came back once, exactly 1 week later, dropped off a cardboard box with some of Ethan's clothes and a note. We need time to heal our relationship. You're good at this caretaker thing anyway. We'll be back when we're ready. I called, texted, left voicemails. Nothing. After 2 weeks, I contacted a lawyer, started formal adoption proceedings. Sharon and Keith didn't contest, didn't show up to court, signed away parental rights with 0 fight. Our extended family heard a version of events that made me the villain. According to Sharon, I'd stolen her baby because I was so desperate to have Keith back that I'd take his child instead. She was devastated, but too young and traumatized to fight me legally. No one asked why a mother would give up her child without a fight. No one questioned why Keith never paid child support or called to check on his son. They just accepted Sharon's narrative. Poor Sharon, victimized by her bitter older sister. I stopped trying to correct the story. Let them think what they wanted. Because here's the truth. I had a baby, a sick baby who needed me every second of every day. Ethan required feeding every 2 hours through a specialized tube. He needed 5 different medications on strict schedules. He had physical therapy appointments 3 times a week, cardiology checkups every month. He couldn't be around crowds, too high a risk of infection, couldn't be left with just anyone. His care was too complex. I quit my full-time hospital job, picked up part-time night shifts when I could find a specialized nurse to watch Ethan for a few hours. The money dried up fast. I sold my car. Didn't need it much anyway since I rarely left the apartment. Moved to a cheaper place, started eating rice and beans to afford Ethan's medications. The first year was hell. Pure, unfiltered hell. There were nights I sat on the bathroom floor, Ethan finally asleep in his crib, and wondered if I'd made the right choice. If maybe Sharon had been smart to walk away. If maybe I should call social services and admit I couldn't do this. But then Ethan would wake up crying and I'd go to him and he'd look at me with those huge eyes and I'd think, he didn't ask for any of this. He didn't ask to be born to parents who couldn't handle him. He didn't ask for a broken heart or a complicated life. So I stayed. I figured it out. I learned. By the time Ethan was 2, I could manage his medications in my sleep. I knew his patterns, when he was in pain, when he was just fussy, when something was seriously wrong. I became an expert in pediatric cardiology without meaning to, just from necessity. A cardiologist at the Children's Hospital noticed, Dr. Patricia Chen. She was in her 50s, brilliant, no nonsense. After Ethan's checkup one day, she pulled me aside. "You're doing the work of a full medical team," she said. "Have you ever considered pediatric cardiology nursing? We need people like you, people who actually care." I laughed. "I can barely keep my head above water as it is." "That's because you're doing it alone. What if you weren't? What if you had resources, support, training?" She handed me information about a specialized certification program. It was intense, a year of coursework on top of hands-on clinical hours, but it was also flexible. Online classes, night sessions designed for working nurses. "Think about it," Dr. Chen said. "You're already living this. Might as well get paid properly for it." I thought about it for about 3 seconds. Then I enrolled. The next 3 years were the hardest of my life. I worked part-time nights, usually 3 12-hour shifts a week, spent days caring for Ethan, studied from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. after he went to sleep, survived on 4 hours of sleep a night, 6 if I was lucky. Friends, the few I had left, told me I was crazy, that I was going to burn out, that I needed to slow down. But I couldn't slow down, because for the first time in my life, I was building something that was mine, not for a man who'd leave me, not for a sister who'd betray me, not for a family who'd never value me, for me, and for Ethan. When Ethan was 4, I passed my certification exam, became a certified pediatric cardiac nurse. Dr. Chen hired me immediately into Portland Children's Hospital's cardiac intensive care unit. The pay was better. The hours were structured. I could afford childcare, specialized childcare with nurses trained to handle Ethan's needs. I could breathe. When Ethan was 6, something incredible happened. His cardiologist cleared him for his first major surgery, a procedure that would repair a significant portion of his heart defect. It was risky, terrifying, but necessary. I held his hand as they wheeled him into the OR. "I'll be right here when you wake up," I promised. "I know, Mama," he said. He called me Mama by then. Had for years. The surgery took 9 hours. I didn't eat, didn't sleep. Just sat in the waiting room, staring at the wall, bargaining with a God I wasn't sure I believed in. When the surgeon came out, she was smiling. It went perfectly, better than we hoped. I cried then. For the first time since my parents died, just sat in that waiting room and sobbed. Dr. Chen found me there, sat beside me, didn't say anything, just handed me tissues and waited. "I didn't think we'd make it this far," I finally said. "But you did. You both did." She squeezed my hand. "Maya, I want to tell you something. In 25 years of pediatric cardiology, I've seen hundreds of families. Most have 2 parents, extended family support, resources, and many of them still fall apart under the stress. You did this alone. You kept that boy alive through sheer force of will and skill. That's not luck. That's extraordinary." "I'm not extraordinary. I just did what needed to be done." "That's exactly what makes you extraordinary." Ethan recovered beautifully. Within 6 months, he was stronger than he'd ever been, running, playing, acting like a normal kid for the first time in his life. I watched him on the playground one day. He was 7 by then, laughing with other children. No monitors, no tubes, just a happy boy. And I realized we'd made it. Against every odd, we'd actually made it. That year, Dr. Chen nominated me for a hospital award, Excellence in Pediatric Nursing. I won. Had to give a speech at a fancy dinner in front of hospital administration and donors. I talked about Ethan, about the journey, about how the hardest things in life often become the most meaningful. A woman approached me afterward, Sarah Martinez, another pediatric nurse. "That was beautiful," she said. "I have a son with special needs too. It's so hard doing it alone." "You're not alone," I said. "Not anymore." Sarah became my first real friend in years. We started having coffee every week. Our boys played together. We swapped war stories and survival strategies and laughed about things that would make other people cry. Life got better. Slowly. Incrementally. But it got better. When Ethan was 8, I enrolled in a master's program, Nursing Leadership. Dr. Chen was pushing me toward administration, and I'd started to believe I could actually do it. Online classes, night coursework, 4 years of grinding. But I had a rhythm now, a system. Ethan was in school, doing well. I'd built a support network. I knew how to manage my time. I graduated with my master's degree when Ethan was 12. Portland Children's Hospital promoted me to clinical nurse leader. Then, a year later, to director of Pediatric Nursing Services. I was 37 years old. I supervised a team of 120 nurses, made $145,000 a year, had benefits, retirement, stability. I bought a house, 3 bedrooms in Northwest Portland. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Ethan picked out his own room, painted it blue, put up posters of scientists and athletes and superheroes. "Mom," he said one night. He was 13 by then, tall and skinny, all elbows and knees. "Do you ever think about them? Sharon and Keith?" I was making dinner, paused mid-stir. "Sometimes. Why?" I saw Sharon's Facebook. Aunt Linda shared something. He looked uncomfortable. "They're in California, doing real estate. They have pictures of themselves at the beach and stuff." "Does it bother you, seeing them?" He shrugged. "Not really. I mean, they're strangers. You're my mom. That's what matters." He hesitated. "But do you think they ever wonder about me? If I'm alive?" Honestly, I didn't know. In 15 years, Sharon and Keith had never once called, never sent a birthday card, never asked if Ethan survived. Maybe they assumed he'd died and didn't want to know for sure. Maybe they convinced themselves I'd put him up for adoption. Maybe they just didn't care. "I don't know, buddy," I said. "But I know this. Their loss. You're an amazing kid, and they missed every second of it." He smiled, hugged me. "You're pretty great too, you know. We're a good team. The best." That same year, Ethan had his final heart surgery, a procedure that would essentially complete the repairs from his childhood. The surgeon was optimistic. Ethan was strong, healthy. This was the finish line. I took a leave of absence from work, sat with him through pre-op, held his hand. He still let me, even at 13. "Nervous?" I asked. "Nah, we've done this before, we've got it." "We do." The surgery was a success. Complete success. The surgeon said Ethan's heart function was now in the normal range. He'd need checkups, but he could live a completely normal life. Play sports, go to college, have a career. "He's a medical miracle," the surgeon told me. "That he's alive at all is remarkable. That he's thriving, that's because of you." I didn't feel like a miracle worker. I felt like a mom who'd done her job. But I accepted the compliment. Learned to do that over the years. Ethan started high school. Got straight A's, joined the biology club, talked about becoming a doctor someday. "I want to help kids like me," he said. I was so proud I could barely breathe. My career kept growing. I published research on pediatric postoperative care protocols, got invited to speak at conferences, joined advisory boards. My name started showing up in professional circles, not as that nurse who adopted her sister's kid, but as Dr. Maya Rodriguez, nursing leader and expert. I liked that. Liked being known for what I'd built, not what had been done to me. When Ethan was 15, Dr. Chen retired. She threw a party, invited everyone she'd mentored over the years, pulled me aside during the event. "I'm proud of you," she said. "You came to me broken and exhausted, and look at you now." I wasn't broken, just bent. She laughed. "Bent then. You straightened yourself out. That takes courage. You helped. I gave you an opportunity. You did the work." She paused. "Maya, I need to tell you something. I've been offered a position on the board of Seattle General Hospital. They're looking for a chief nursing officer. I recommended you. Seattle? That's 2.5 hours away. I know, think about it. You don't have to decide now, but you've outgrown Portland. There are bigger opportunities waiting. I did think about it for about 2 days. Then I declined. Portland was home. Ethan's school was here. My life was here. I didn't need bigger opportunities. I needed stability. Besides, there was still work to do in Portland. Programs to build, protocols to improve, nurses to mentor. I was 40 years old, single, content. I had a son I adored, a career I loved, and a life I'd built from nothing. And then, out of nowhere, I got an email from my cousin Jennifer. Subject line, "Family reunion, please come." I almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hi, Maya," it read. "I know it's been forever, but Grandma, Dad's side, is turning 90. The whole family is gathering in Seattle next month. It would mean a lot if you came. I know things were complicated with Sharon and Keith, but it's been 15 years. Maybe it's time for healing? P.S. I heard you're doing amazing things with your career. I'd love to hear about it." I stared at the email for a long time. 15 years. Long enough for wounds to scar. Long enough to move on. But also long enough to forget why those wounds happened in the first place. I showed the email to Ethan. He was in the kitchen doing homework at the counter. Nearly 17 now, over 6 feet tall, handsome, smart, kind. "What do you think?" I asked. He read it, frowned. "Do you want to go?" "I don't know. Part of me is curious. Part of me thinks it's a terrible idea. Will they be there, Sharon and Keith?" "Probably." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "Mom, you've spent 15 years protecting me, building this life for us. Maybe it's time to show them who you really are, not for revenge or anything, just closure. So you can look at them and know you won." "I already won. I have you." "Exactly. So what are you afraid of?" "Good question. What was I afraid of? That they'd look at me and still see the boring, not good enough girl from 15 years ago? That they'd find some way to diminish what I'd accomplished? That seeing them would reopen wounds I thought had healed? Or maybe I was afraid they wouldn't care, that I'd show up successful and strong and they'd just shrug, like my entire journey meant nothing. "You don't have to go," Ethan said, "but if you do, I'm coming with you." "You'd want to meet them?" "Not really, but I want to have your back, the way you've always had mine." I looked at my son, this miracle of a person who shouldn't have survived but did, who grew up watching me fight and learned to fight too, and I made a decision. "Okay," I said, "let's go." I RSVP'd to Jennifer, said I'd be there. Didn't mention I was bringing Ethan. The reunion was scheduled for a Saturday evening, fancy restaurant in downtown Seattle. 75 people expected. A big deal. I bought a new outfit. Nothing flashy, but professional. A tailored navy suit that made me look like the director I was. Ethan wore slacks and a button-down. We looked good, presentable, like people who had their lives together. Because we did. The drive to Seattle felt longer than 2.5 hours. Ethan dozed in the passenger seat. I rehearsed conversations in my head, imagining what I'd say if Sharon approached me, if Keith tried to apologize, if someone asked about the last 15 years. But mostly, I focused on breathing, on remembering who I was now, not the girl who got cheated on, not the woman who got abandoned with a sick baby, but Dr. Maya Rodriguez, director, expert, mother. We arrived at the restaurant 20 minutes late, on purpose. I wanted everyone seated before I walked in. Didn't want to stand around making small talk. The hostess directed us to a private event space on the second floor. I could hear voices, laughter, the clink of glasses. Ethan squeezed my hand. "You ready?" "No, but let's do it anyway." We walked in together. The room was full. Round tables, fancy centerpieces, a banner that said, "Happy 90th, Grandma Alice." My grandmother sat at the head table, looking tiny and pleased. I scanned the crowd, spotted cousins I hadn't seen in years, Aunt Linda, Uncle Tom, people I used to know. And then I saw them, Sharon and Keith, at a table near the center, laughing. She looked older, still pretty, but there were lines around her eyes. Too much sun, probably. Keith had gained weight, lost most of his hair. He looked ordinary, like any middle-aged guy you'd pass on the street and not notice. They hadn't seen me yet. I could still leave, turn around, walk out. But then someone else noticed me. A man at the VIP table near the front. Silver hair, expensive suit. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. He stood, walked over, extended his hand. Dr. Rodriguez, Robert Harrison. I work with Patricia Chen. We met briefly at the nursing symposium last spring. Dr. Harrison, Chief Medical Officer of Seattle General, one of the top healthcare executives in the Pacific Northwest. Dr. Harrison, yes, good to see you again. I didn't know you had family in Seattle. Patricia speaks so highly of you. He glanced at Ethan. And this must be your son? Yes, Ethan. Ethan shook his hand politely. Dr. Harrison smiled. Patricia told me about your journey, remarkable young man. A few people at nearby tables turned to look, including Sharon and Keith. I saw the moment Sharon recognized me. Her eyes went wide, then narrow, then calculating. Keith's reaction was slower. He squinted. Then his jaw dropped slightly. Neither of them moved. Neither approached. I let Dr. Harrison guide us to a table near the front, sat down, accepted a glass of wine from a server. Across the room, Sharon leaned close to Keith, whispered something. He nodded. I could feel their eyes on me, could practically hear the gears turning in Sharon's head. The night was just beginning, and I had a feeling it was about to get very, very interesting. Dinner was served family style, platters of roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, the kind of meal that's supposed to bring people together, make them feel warm and connected. I barely tasted it. Dr. Harrison sat to my left, talking about a new pediatric wing his hospital was planning. Margaret Vance, CEO of Northwest Children's Foundation, sat across from us. I'd worked with her on several grant projects over the years. She was brilliant, direct, and didn't suffer fools. Maya, I've been meaning to ask, Margaret said, cutting into her chicken. How's the Heart Heroes program rolling out? I heard Seattle Children's is interested in adopting your protocols. It's going well. We've trained staff at 15 hospitals now. The outcomes have been really encouraging. 30% reduction in post-operative complications for pediatric cardiac patients. Dr. Harrison nodded. That's the kind of innovation that changes lives. You should be proud. I was proud, but I was also distracted. Because 3 tables over, Sharon kept glancing my way. She'd lean close to Keith, whisper something, then look at me again. Her expression shifted between confusion and something that looked like anger. She didn't know what to do with me. This version of me, the one in a tailored suit, sitting with hospital executives, discussing programs I'd built. It didn't fit her narrative. Ethan ate quietly beside me, occasionally answering questions from Margaret about his college plans. He was poised, confident, a young man who knew his worth. Pre-med at University of Portland, he told her. I want to specialize in pediatric cardiology eventually. Following in your mom's footsteps, Margaret said warmly. She's the reason I'm alive. Seems like the least I can do is help other kids like me. Margaret's eyes misted. She touched my arm. You raised a good one, Maya. He raised himself. I just kept him alive long enough to do it. Across the room, I saw Sharon stand up. She said something to Keith, then started weaving through tables, heading toward the restrooms. But her path took her close to our table, close enough to accidentally overhear. I knew what she was doing. Sharon had always been good at gathering information, positioning herself strategically. She wanted to know what people were saying about me, wanted to understand what had changed. But I didn't give her the satisfaction of acknowledgement, just kept talking to Margaret about expansion plans for the Heart Heroes program. Sharon paused near a neighboring table, pretending to greet a distant cousin, but I could see her ears practically twitching, straining to hear. Let her listen. Let her piece it together. The main course ended. Dessert arrived, some kind of fancy chocolate torte. Grandma Alice stood up at the head table, tapped her glass with a spoon. I want to thank everyone for coming, she said, her voice surprisingly strong for 90. Family is everything. Even when we disagree, even when we drift apart, we're still family. I'm so grateful to have you all here. Polite applause, a few hears. Then Sharon stood up. My stomach clenched. "Grandma, I just want to say something," Sharon called out, her voice carrying across the room. She had that talent, commanding attention without seeming to try. "I know I've had my struggles over the years, made mistakes, but this family has always been there for me, and I'm grateful." She paused, looked directly at me, smiled. "I've been thinking a lot lately about family, about the people we lose touch with." Another pointed look. "My sister Maya is here tonight. We haven't spoken in 15 years, not since I had to make the hardest decision of my life." The room went quiet, uncomfortably quiet. Sharon's voice took on a trembling quality. "I had a baby when I was 23, a beautiful boy named Ethan, but he was born with a severe heart defect. The doctors said he probably wouldn't survive. I was so young, so scared. I didn't know what to do." She dabbed at her eyes. Actual tears. Sharon had always been good at crying on command. "I asked Maya to take him, just temporarily while I figured things out. But then she cut me off, wouldn't return my calls, wouldn't let me see him. I've lived for 15 years not knowing if my son is even alive." Gasps around the room. Someone, Aunt Linda, I think, said, "Oh, Sharon, honey." Sharon turned to me, hand over her heart. "Maya, I know you're angry about what happened with Keith. I know you think I stole him from you, but please, he's my son. I just want to know, is Ethan alive? Did he survive?" Every eye in the room turned to me. Keith stood up, joining Sharon's performance. "We just want to know," he said, voice heavy with fake emotion. "We've wondered for so long. We were too young, too broke to help you back then, but we're doing better now. We could..." "Stop." I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. The single word cut through the room like a knife. I stood slowly, set my napkin on the table, looked at Sharon, really looked at her, for the first time in 15 years. "You want to know if Ethan survived?" I kept my voice level, calm. "Yes, Sharon, he survived." Relief flooded her face. Keith actually smiled. "Oh, thank God," Sharon breathed. "Where is he? Is he in a facility? We could help with costs?" "He's right here." I gestured to Ethan. He stood up, unfolding his 6'2" frame, looked at Sharon and Keith with steady, calm eyes. "Hi," he said. "I'm Ethan Rodriguez, your son, the one you thought died." The color drained from Sharon's face. Keith's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "But you were supposed to," the doctors said. Sharon stammered. "The doctors said I needed specialized care 24/7 for years," Ethan said. His voice was polite but firm. "My mom, Maya, provided that. She got me through 4 surgeries, countless therapies, and loved me every single day. I'm now pre-med at University of Portland, planning to become a pediatric cardiologist." The room erupted in whispers, people pulling out phones, probably looking me up, looking up Ethan. Sharon's shock morphed into something else. Anger. "You never told me. You let me think. You could have called." "You never called," I said quietly. "Not once in 15 years. You signed away parental rights without a fight. You told everyone I stole your baby, but you never once asked if he was okay. You just left." Keith stepped forward, trying to recover. "We were kids, Maya. We made mistakes. But we're here now. We want to make it right." "Make it right?" Ethan laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. "You want to make it right? Where were you when I was 6 months old, barely breathing? Where were you when I was 3, learning to walk with a feeding tube? Where were you when I was 8, terrified before my 3rd surgery?" "We didn't know how to handle it," Sharon said desperately. "We were overwhelmed. My mom was 25 and alone, and she handled it. You were 23 with a partner, and you ran." Dr. Harrison stood up. His face was hard. "Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to clarify something." He looked at Sharon. "Did you just imply that Dr. Rodriguez kidnapped your child and cut you off?" Sharon blinked. "Dr. Rodriguez?" "Dr. Maya Rodriguez," Margaret Vance added, also standing. "Director of Pediatric Nursing Services at Portland Children's Hospital. The woman who revolutionized pediatric cardiac care protocols across the entire Pacific Northwest." Sharon's eyes went wide. "What? No, she's just a nurse." She has a master's degree in nursing leadership, Dr. Harrison continued. She's published research. She speaks at national conferences. She's saved hundreds of children's lives. He turned to Ethan. And she raised your son, to be a remarkable young man while simultaneously building one of the most respected nursing careers in the country. The room was dead silent now. Cousin Jennifer stood up, phone in hand. Oh my God, Maya, is this you? She turned her screen around, showing an article. Portland's top 40 under 40 healthcare leaders. Dr. Maya Rodriguez, transforming pediatric care. Another cousin, Michael, pulled up his phone. And this TED Talk. From crisis to calling, one mother's journey, 2 million views. That's you. I nodded, didn't elaborate, didn't need to. Sharon looked like she might faint. But you worked at County General. You drove that terrible car. That was 15 years ago, I said. Things change when you're not around to see them. Keith moved toward Ethan, hand extended. Son, I know I wasn't there, but I'd like to... Ethan stepped back. Don't call me son. You're not my father. You're a sperm donor who abandoned a sick baby. My mom is both my parents. The slap of those words hung in the air. Sharon's face crumpled. Real tears this time, I think. Maya, you have to understand. I was so young, I didn't know what I was doing. You can't hold that against me forever. I was 25, I said. I didn't know what I was doing either, but I figured it out. The difference? I didn't run. Grandma Alice stood up, her face pale. Maya, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you let us know you needed help? I looked at her, this woman who'd believed Sharon's stories for 15 years without question. I called Grandma. 3 times in the first 6 months. Left messages. You never called back. Sharon said you were being vindictive. And you believed her. Everyone did. No one asked for my side of the story. No one wondered why a mother would give up her sick child without a fight. You just accepted Sharon's version and moved on. Aunt Linda stood up, defensive. That's not fair, Maya. You cut us all off. I was working 70-hour weeks and caring for a critically ill infant. I didn't have time for family politics. I had to choose between explaining myself to people who'd already decided I was the villain or keeping Ethan alive. I chose Ethan. Margaret Vance spoke up, her voice cutting. I've known Maya for 5 years through professional circles. She never once mentioned family drama, never played the victim, never asked for sympathy. She just did the work. Showed up for her son and for thousands of other children. Dr. Harrison nodded. Our foundation gave her the Champion for Children award last year, $50,000 grant. She donated every penny to fund care for families who can't afford pediatric specialists. Murmurs around the room. People looking at Sharon and Keith with new eyes. The narrative was crumbling. Sharon tried one more time, voice breaking. Maya, please. I made mistakes, but you're my sister. We're family. You should have told me how well you were doing. I would have... You would have what? I asked. Been proud? Supportive? Sharon, you told everyone I was bitter and vindictive. You said I stole your baby out of spite. You've been dining out on the story of your tragic loss for 15 years while I was actually raising your child. Keith stepped forward, trying to salvage something. We can make it up to him now. We're doing well in real estate. We can help with college expenses. Ethan laughed outright. I have a full academic scholarship, and my mom already set up my med school fund. I don't need anything from you. But we're your parents, Sharon insisted. We have rights. You signed those rights away, I said, in court, without contest. You chose real estate and your relationship over your son. You don't get to unchoose that because it's convenient now. Sharon's face twisted. The mask was slipping. This is exactly why Keith left you. You're cold, unforgiving. You hold grudges. No, Sharon, I'm boundaried. There's a difference. The word hung in the air. Boundaried. Not bitter, not cold. Boundaried. People around the room were nodding. Some looked uncomfortable, probably processing their own complicity in believing Sharon's lies. Others looked angry on my behalf. Cousin Jennifer approached our table. Maya, I'm so sorry. We believed what we were told. We should have checked on you. Should have asked questions. Yes, I said simply. You should have. Dr. Harrison cleared his throat. I think perhaps this isn't the right venue for this conversation. It's your grandmother's birthday. He was right. This wasn't fair to Grandma Alice. I looked at my grandmother. She was crying quietly. I'm sorry, Grandma. I didn't come here to cause a scene. I came because Jennifer invited me, because I thought maybe enough time had passed. Has it? She asked. Passed, I mean? I don't know, but I know this. I'm not the same person I was 15 years ago. I don't need your approval or your validation. I just wanted to show Ethan where he came from. Let him decide for himself what family means. Ethan touched my arm. Can we go, Mom? Yeah, we can go. We started toward the exit. Sharon called out, desperate now. You're going to regret this. Family is family, Maya. You can't just walk away. I turned back, looked at her one last time. Sharon, you're absolutely right. Family is family. And for 15 years, Ethan and I have been each other's family. We don't need additions who come with conditions and recriminations. Keith made one last attempt. Please, just give us a chance to know him. That's not my decision, I said. Ethan's an adult. If he wants a relationship with you someday, that's his choice. But it'll be on his terms, not yours. And definitely not because you showed up at a party and decided you were ready to be parents. Ethan looked at Sharon and Keith. His expression wasn't angry, just tired. Maybe someday we can talk. Maybe. But not today. And honestly, probably not for a long time. You don't get to miss my entire childhood and then walk back in because it's convenient. Sharon started to cry harder. Keith looked like he wanted to argue but didn't know what to say. We walked toward the door. Behind us, the room erupted in conversation. People calling out apologies, questions, requests to talk later. I didn't turn around. Dr. Harrison caught up with us in the hallway. Maya, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. It's fine. Actually, it's not fine, but it's done. He handed me his card. I meant what I said before, about the CNO position in Seattle. The offer still stands if you ever change your mind. Thank you, but Portland is home. He smiled. I figured, but if you ever want to consult or collaborate, call me. We need more people like you in healthcare leadership. Margaret joined us, gave me a quick hug. You handled that with more grace than I would have. I've had 15 years to practice. We left, walked through the restaurant, out into the cool Seattle evening. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Ethan was quiet until we got to the car. Then he turned to me. Are you okay? Yeah, I think I am, actually. That was intense. That was overdue. We drove in silence for a while. Traffic was light heading south on I-5. The city lights faded behind us. Do you think you'll ever talk to them again? Ethan asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe, if they do the work. Real apologies. Real accountability. But honestly, I don't need closure from people who never valued me. I have everything I need. Do you mean that? Yeah, I do. I glanced at him. Does it bother you that I'm not interested in reconciling? No, I mean, I'm curious about them, I guess. But they're strangers. You're my mom. That's what matters. He paused. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret it? Taking me in? Your life would have been so much easier if you'd just... Stop, right there. I pulled over to the shoulder, put the car in park, turned to face him fully. Ethan Rodriguez, you listen to me. Taking you in was the best decision I ever made, the only decision that mattered. Yes, it was hard. Yes, I sacrificed things. But you know what I gained? Purpose. Love. A reason to become better than I thought I could be. You didn't ruin my life. You saved it. His eyes were wet. Seeing them tonight, seeing how they looked at you, I realized how much you gave up. I gave up nothing that mattered. I gave up people who didn't value me, a marriage that was already broken, a family that was conditional, and in return, I got you. I got a career I love. I got self-respect. That's not sacrifice. That's an upgrade. He laughed through tears, hugged me awkwardly across the center console. I love you, Mom. I love you too, kid, always. We pulled back onto the highway, headed home. 6 months passed. Life went on. Ethan excelled in his sophomore year. I got promoted again, this time to senior director, overseeing multiple departments. We fell into our rhythm: work, study, family dinners, weekend hikes. Then I got an email from Sharon. Subject line, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. "Maya," it read. "I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I don't blame you, but I need to say this, even if you never respond. I'm sorry, not for leaving Ethan with you. Honestly, that was the best thing I could have done for him, even if I did it for the wrong reasons. But I'm sorry for the story I told, for making you the villain, for never checking if you needed help, for never asking if Ethan was okay, for spending 15 years believing my own lies because it was easier than admitting I'd abandoned my son. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect a response. I just needed you to know that I see it now. I see what you did, what you sacrificed, what you built, and I'm ashamed. Sharon." I read it 3 times, showed it to Ethan. "What do you think?" he asked. "I think it's a start, a small start." "Are you going to respond?" "Eventually, maybe, when I'm ready." "And when will that be?" "I don't know. Maybe never. Maybe next year. Maybe when seeing her name doesn't make my chest tight." He nodded, understood. I saved the email, didn't respond, not yet. Another email came 2 weeks later, from Keith this time. Shorter, more awkward. "I was a coward. I'm sorry. I don't deserve a relationship with Ethan, but if he ever wants to talk, I'm here. Keith." I showed that one to Ethan, too. "Do you want to talk to him?" I asked. "Not right now, maybe someday, but not because I need a dad, just because, I don't know, closure, I guess." "That's fair. Did you ever get closure with them?" I thought about the reunion, about standing in that room, watching Sharon's narrative crumble, watching Keith's excuses fall flat. "Yeah," I said. "I think I did." Life continued. Spring turned to summer. Ethan got accepted to volunteer at Portland Children's Hospital in the cardiac wing. Worked alongside nurses I'd trained, watched surgeries, fell more in love with medicine. One Saturday we were having breakfast. Pancakes, our weekend tradition. Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. "What?" I asked. "Sharon sent me a friend request on Facebook." "Oh, should I accept?" "Do you want to?" "I don't know." "Then don't. Not yet. Wait until you know." He nodded, set the phone aside. "Can I tell you something?" "Always. I used to wonder about them when I was little. Wonder why they didn't want me. If there was something wrong with me." My heart cracked. "Ethan, let me finish. I used to wonder that. But then I got older and I watched you, watched how hard you worked, how much you cared, how you showed up every single day, even when you were exhausted. And I realized there wasn't something wrong with me. There was something wrong with them. They couldn't see value in anything that required work, required sacrifice, required showing up when it's hard. That's very mature of you." I learned from the best. We finished breakfast, cleaned up together, went about our day. That afternoon, I was in my home office reviewing reports when I got a text from Dr. Harrison. "Saw your protocol got picked up by Seattle Children's and UCSF. Congratulations, you're changing the field." I smiled, texted back, "Thanks, just doing the work. That's what I admire about you. No ego, just excellence." I set the phone down, looked around my office, diplomas on the wall, awards, photos of Ethan at various ages, tiny and sick, then bigger and healthier, then tall and strong. This was my life, the one I'd built from nothing, from betrayal and abandonment and nights where I didn't think I'd make it. And it was good, really, truly good. A year after the reunion, I got a call from cousin Jennifer. "Hey, Maya, I know this might be weird, but I wanted to ask, Grandma's doing another family thing. Smaller this time, just close family. She specifically asked if you'd come. No pressure, but she really wants to see you, and she wants to meet Ethan properly." I considered. "Will Sharon and Keith be there?" "No. Grandma said she's doing 2 separate events, one for you, one for them. She said she's not making you share space with them until everyone's ready." That's surprisingly thoughtful. She feels terrible about what happened, about believing Sharon. She wants to make it right. "Okay, yeah, we'll come." The second gathering was different, quieter, Just Grandma, Jennifer and her family, a few other cousins, people who'd reached out after the reunion to apologize. Grandma hugged me for a long time when we arrived. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have known better, should have asked more questions." "It's okay, Grandma." "It's not, but I'm grateful you're here anyway." She spent an hour talking to Ethan, asking about school, his plans, his interests. She cried when he showed her photos from his last surgery, the successful one, the one that gave him a normal life. "You did this," she said to me. "You saved him." We saved each other. On the drive home, Ethan said, "That was nice. Different from last time." "Yeah, it was." "Do you think you'll go to more family things?" "Maybe if they stay like this, low-key, honest." "What about Sharon and Keith?" I thought about Sharon's emails. She'd sent 3 more over the past year, each one shorter, each one just checking in, asking how we were, not demanding anything. Keith had sent one, asked if he could contribute to Ethan's medical fund as a way of making amends. I'd responded to that one, told him Ethan didn't have medical expenses anymore, but if he wanted to make amends, he could donate to Portland Children's Hospital's financial assistance program. He did. $5,000. It didn't erase anything, but it was something. "I don't know about Sharon and Keith," I said honestly. "Maybe someday, maybe never. I'm not closing the door completely, but I'm also not opening it just because they're knocking." That seems fair. I think so. We drove in comfortable silence. The sun was setting again. Seemed like we were always driving home at sunset after these family things. "Mom?" "Yeah?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up, on me, on yourself, on building a good life even when it was hard." I reached over, squeezed his hand. "Thank you for being worth it." He smiled. "We're a good team. The best." And we were. Against every odd, despite every betrayal, through every hardship, we'd made it. Not just survived, thrived. Sharon and Keith got to see that at the reunion, got to see what they'd missed, what they'd thrown away. But here's the thing I realized driving home that night. I didn't need them to see it. Didn't need their regret or their belated recognition. I'd built a life so full, so meaningful, so rich with love and purpose that their absence didn't leave a hole. It left space, space for people who valued me, who showed up, who did the work, and that space was filled. With Ethan, with colleagues who respected me, with friends who supported me, with work that mattered, with a grandmother who'd learned to ask better questions, with cousins who'd apologized and meant it. The best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a life so complete that you forget to look back. And I'd built that life. Sharon and Keith could knock on the door all they wanted, but I was the one who decided if it opened, when it opened, on what terms. And for now, the door stayed closed. Not out of bitterness, not out of spite, but out of boundaries, out of self-respect, out of the knowledge that I didn't owe them anything. Not my time, not my energy, not my forgiveness until I was ready to give it. If I was ever ready, and that was okay. Because I'd learned the most important lesson of all. My worth didn't depend on people who couldn't see it in the first place. I was enough. I'd always been enough. And finally, I believed it.